Another week, another pastor's family member arrested for child sex crimes. At this point, you could set your watch by it. Let me introduce you to Indiana Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith. He has a podcast and he co-hosts it with Pastor Nathan Peternel, who runs Life Church, a multi-campus megachurch in Indiana. Nathan hired Beckwith years ago to lead one of those church campuses in Noblesville, and Beckwith still does that while serving as lieutenant governor. Holding both a pastoral position and a government office position simultaneously. Totally normal. They call each other best friends and spiritual brothers in arms. And real quick, if that also gave you the creeps, then hit subscribe because we're continuing to cover these creepy stories that hold people and pastors and electeds accountable. Because these two have built their entire public brands together on telling people how to live morally, and they have a podcast where they position themselves as moral authorities covering sexual morality, protecting children, and the dangers of pornography. I'm sure you could see where this is headed. And if you need a quick sample, let's look at this campaign ad that Beckwith posted on his podcast just 2 years ago.
Hi, it's Micah Beckwith, your Republican candidate for Indiana's Lieutenant Governor. I'm often asked, what is the motivation for me to run for Lieutenant Governor? It's simple. It's my children. As you well know, there is an effort to alienate children from their parents and indoctrinate them into the woke culture. Our children should be being taught English, math, history, and science. Critical race theory and gender confusion should not be part of the curriculum. We need to get the politics and the left-wing agenda out of the classroom. Like you, I strongly believe that parents should make the decisions for their children, not the school system. This is an all-hands-on-deck fight. Our next governor is going to need a strong partner to take on the woke culture and the teachers union. As a father of two, no one is more motivated to win this war for the future of Indiana than I. Let me know that you are with me. Please visit micahbeckwith.com to pledge your support.
Motivated to protect Indiana's children from teachers, eh? An all-hands-on-deck fight to take on woke culture and teachers unions. It's funny because teachers are widely recognized as one of the groups most likely to notice and report potential abuse at home. So I can't imagine why they're the target of his war. And I love how he says parents should make decisions for their children, not the school system. You know what would be a good parental decision? Maybe not co-hosting a podcast on sex and Jesus with somebody who's now very actively involved in an investigation on 7 felony counts related to child sex crimes. But no, the teachers union is a much bigger threat. Okay, got it. And it gets worse because the recent sting, we had a little teaser in August 2025 of this year in Marion County. A grand jury started investigating allegations within Beckwith's office involving ghost employment and distribution of intimate images. Specifically, staffers in Beckwith's office were allegedly sharing an AI pornographic deepfake video of State Representative Craig Haggard's wife. Very normal workplace behavior. A former advisor went on the radio and confirmed she saw staffers sharing this video around the office. She described the atmosphere as a frat house. That was very immature. Shocking. Super shocking description for an office run by people who lecture other people about morality. Okay, so let's watch Beckwith try to defend himself against these deepfake allegations in his office. This should be good.
Nobody can show any proof. Nobody's been able to provide proof. And until somebody does, then there's really, there's nothing to see here, nothing to talk about. Let's move on and keep working for Hoosiers.
The Lieutenant Governor's office says it did not use any forensic auditing software during its internal investigation to check for deleted videos, nor did it call a cybersecurity firm to conduct an independent investigation.
If a cybersecurity person comes in, analyzes cell phone, computer materials, and definitively proves it never existed, then your office could say, we did our due diligence, we found absolutely nothing, and then the accuser would be held potentially criminally liable because that's false informing, false reporting.
Yeah, 100%. I see what you're saying. It's just a very dangerous precedent to set where you say, every time this happens, I have to prove a negative. We've got to stop everything and go through this process. That's really dangerous because now anyone can just come and say, well, I saw something or I heard something or this potentially happened in the office, and now we have to then go and prove that it didn't happen. I mean, that you could tie up our entire 4 years as Lieutenant Governor by just doing that over and over again. And so to me, I don't want to set that precedent.
I'm sorry, can we rewind that? If we have to investigate every time this happens, every time this happens, so this is a reoccurring issue, this happens with enough frequency that you're worried about having to investigate it every single instance, that's your defense? Most offices would aim for 0 times. Most people would say that this has never happened before and we would just go ahead and take it seriously. But Beckwith's over here like, listen, if we investigated every time my staffers created and distributed AI pornographic images of elected officials' wives, we'd never get anything done. And he says that with a straight face. He says, I saw something. Yes, we have to go and prove this. Yes, that's exactly how investigations generally work. Someone reports seeing something deeply inappropriate happening in your office, and you have to investigate to prove or disprove it. That's literally the point of an investigation. The way he says it, you think somebody was asking him to prove the earth is round. Oh, so just because there's evidence, we have to verify it? What kind of tyranny is this? And my personal favorite was when he said, you can tie up 4 years. 4 years? He's worried about there being so many instances of them having to investigate AI-generated pornography in his office that it might take up the whole time of his term. You know what else ties up 4 years? A scandal that keeps growing because you refuse to investigate it. For a man who campaigned on protecting children and fighting pornography, something feels really off here, because when asked to investigate alleged pornography allegations in his own office, suddenly it's all, every time this happens and we don't have time for this. Like, my dog. This is not normal. So naturally, Beckwith dismissed it as a witch hunt. His office didn't use forensic auditing software. They didn't bring in a cybersecurity expert or anything. They didn't do any sort of independent investigation. His reasoning, he wasn't going to let one allegation use force to waste taxpayer money on an investigation. The irony of refusing to investigate AI-generated pornography in your office while simultaneously literally preaching with a pastor about the dangers of pornography on your podcast called Sex and Jesus and something has just escaped him entirely. Grand jury heard testimony in August and September of this year, and the files are sealed. But then came the plot twist that somehow nobody could have predicted. The son of his bestie and partner in podcasting, Pastor Nathan Peternel, was arrested on 7 felony counts related to child crimes. Jonathan Wesley Peternel, 24 years old. The Hamilton County Metro Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force showed up at 5:30 a.m. Both father and son answered the door. The task force received a cyber tip about child sexual abuse material uploaded to Snapchat. The phone number matched Jonathan's. He immediately did what any innocent person would do, requested an attorney. Detectives seized multiple devices, and unlike Beckwith's office, they conducted a full forensic audit. Meanwhile, Beckwith and Nathan have spent years on their podcast comparing pornography to cocaine, urging parents to monitor kids online and positioning themselves as protectors of the children, building their brand while this was allegedly happening in the pastor's home. The forensic review found more than 200 files of suspected child sexual abuse material on Jonathan's devices. More than 200. But yes, forensic audits are definitely a waste of taxpayer resources. Beckwith was right about that, because among those files, investigators found what was described as sadomasochistic child abuse and photorealistic AI-generated photos of nude pregnant toddlers. All an AI-generated. How fascinating that Beckwith refused to investigate AI-generated porn in his own office just months earlier. And now here we are with AI-generated child material in his best friend's family. What a coincidence. Over 50 additional photos and videos showed his own parents nude or engaged in sex acts. I'm sorry, let me say that again for the people in the back. Over 50 files of his own parents, the pastor who lectures about sexual morality within his own marriage, and his wife, the same phone used to distribute content in group chats. Totally normal family photo album stuff. Nothing to see here. Really paints a beautiful picture of those family dinners while recording podcast episodes about the sanctity of marriage and God's covenantal love. Chat logs showed Jonathan was distributing material in a Snapchat group called none other than Diddy's Disciples, referencing Sean Diddy Combs, who's currently facing lawsuits and federal investigations for sexual assault and trafficking. What a brand choice. Really captures the wholesome Christian values that they were going for. Jonathan was charged with 7 felony counts. He pleaded not guilty. Bond was set for $25,000. He remains in custody, with Beckwith's communications director saying he's unable to comment until he learns more information. I cannot imagine what additional information would clarify this situation. But sure. Nathan didn't respond to messages, shockingly. Jonathan initially planned to hire an attorney, Devin Norrick, who conveniently serves as outside legal counsel for the Lieutenant Governor's office. Small world. But Norrick quickly clarified that his firm has no active role in this case. Everyone's suddenly developing amnesia about their connections at lightning speed. Funny how people who spent years lecturing everyone else about morality suddenly have nothing to say when it's their turn to answer the questions. And if this video has expanded your perspective or been a story you haven't heard elsewhere, take a moment to subscribe and share it with a friend. We can't grow without your support.